Welcome back to Theosophy and Beyond, where we explore the practical realities of working with consciousness altering spiritual forces. I'm your host, Zero Kathos, and today we're diving into essential preparation for one of the most intense grimoires in modern occultism, the Book of Sitra by NAA 218. This episode is born from necessity. Through my work with the Qliphothic spirits contained within this grimoire, I've learned that these entities operate at energy levels that can overwhelm unprepared practitioners. What I'm sharing today isn't theoretical, it's practical wisdom earned through direct experience, including some challenging encounters that taught me invaluable lessons about preparation and protection. Now, I have to give the disclaimer. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical specialist. I'm not trying to give medical advice. I am just telling you what works for me to help out any practitioners who want to look into the same thing that I'm doing in order to protect yourself. That's all. Okay. So don't delete my video. I've said I am not a medical specialist. The Book of Sitra contains a system full of Qliphothic spirits that embody primal energies with the power to interact with practitioners in completely uninhibited ways. Even when their intentions are beneficial, an unprepared practitioner can suffer genuine harm through invocation or even simple evocation. These forces can affect your blood pressure, nervous system, and mental health in ways that conventional medicine may not recognize or know how to treat. Today, I'll share practical preparation strategies and my personal gnosis from working with specific entities, so you can approach this powerful system with wisdom rather than recklessness. Before we dive into the spiritual and psychological aspects of preparation, we need to address something that many occultists overlook. Your physical body is the vessel through which these intense energies must flow. If your physical foundation isn't stable, even well-intentioned spiritual forces can cause genuine harm. The first and most crucial preparation is establishing a regular exercise routine. I cannot overstate how important it is when working with Qliphothic energies. Exercise serves two essential functions. It helps regulate blood pressure, which can spike dramatically during intense spiritual work, and it provides natural grounding for excess energy. During my work with these spirits, I learned this lesson through direct experience. Without a solid exercise foundation, I found myself dealing with energy surges that my body couldn't effectively process or discharge. The result was everything from crushing headaches to heart palpitations that lasted for hours after ritual work. Well, the headaches did, not the heart palpitations. Regular cardiovascular exercise, whether running, cycling, swimming, or even brisk walking, creates a more resilient nervous system that can handle the kind of energetic intensities these spirits bring. Strength training is equally valuable because it builds physical confidence and presence, which these entities respect and respond to positively. But here's the deeper truth. Exercise isn't just physical preparation, it's spiritual preparation. These Qliphothic forces are primal, wild, and respect strength. When you show up to spiritual work with a body that's been tested and strengthened through physical challenge, you approach these entities from a position of proven capability rather than weakness. Exercising on a regular basis also proves that you have discipline. The second crucial element of physical preparation involves herbs that support your nervous system, mood regulation, blood pressure stability, and sleep quality. Working with Qliphothic spirits can be incredibly stimulating to your system, and you need natural allies to help maintain balance. Skullcap has been my go-to herb for nervous system support during intense spiritual work. It helps calm excess mental activity without dulling awareness, which is crucial when you need to remain alert during spiritual contact while also preventing overstimulation. Ashwagandha is an adaptogenic herb that helps your body manage stress responses more effectively. When working with testing spirits that deliberately challenge your equilibrium, ashwagandha provides crucial support for maintaining psychological and physiological stability. Passion flower offers gentle sedative properties that can help with both anxiety and the kind of energetic overstimulation that can follow intense ritual work. I found it particularly useful for helping the nervous system settle after challenging encounters. Blue Lotus provides mild relaxation and enhanced dream states, which become especially valuable when working with entities like Lilith, who specialize in dream communication. It helps bridge the gap between waking consciousness and the altered states where qliphothic contact often occurs. These herbs aren't magical solutions, they're practical support tools that help create the stable psychological foundation necessary for safe spiritual work. Beyond physical preparation, working safely with qliphothic spirits requires careful attention to your psychological and energetic state before attempting contact. One of the most important rules I've learned is this: never attempt to work with qliphothic spirits when you're in a negative mood. This isn't about maintaining artificial positivity. It's about recognizing that these entities amplify whatever energy you bring to the encounter. If you approach ritual work while angry, depressed, anxious, or emotionally unstable, these primal forces will magnify those states rather than healing them. What might have been manageable sadness can become overwhelming despair. Ordinary anger can become destructive rage. Normal anxiety can spiral into paralyzing terror. This doesn't mean you have to be in a perfect mood before attempting spiritual work, but you should be in a relatively neutral or positive state, centered, curious, and genuinely open to whatever the encounter might bring. Perhaps the most crucial psychological preparation involves understanding how to relate to these entities. You must never treat qliphothic spirits as enemies to be conquered, demons to be banished, or forces to be dominated. They are ancient, powerful, and proud beings who demand respect and approach spiritual relationships as partnerships rather than hierarchies. The moment you approach these spirits with fear, hostility, or the intention to control them, you've created an adversarial dynamic that will likely result in challenging or harmful experiences. They don't respond well to commands, threats, or attempts at spiritual domination. Instead, approach them as you would approach a wild animal you hope to befriend, with respect, caution, genuine interest, and the understanding that they have their own agendas and purposes that may not align with your personal desires. Now let me share specific insights from my work with individual entities, beginning with Lilith, who has been perhaps my most consistent and profound spiritual teacher. Contrary to popular depictions of Lilith as purely destructive or adversarial, I found her to be extremely protective of those she chooses to work with. But her protection doesn't come in comfortable forms. It's the kind of fierce love that will destroy whatever is harming you, even if what's harming you is your own illusions or limiting beliefs. Once Lilith decides to work with someone, she becomes a constant companion. This isn't always comfortable. Imagine having an ancient, powerful entity observing your daily life, commenting on your choices, and occasionally intervening in ways you didn't request. But for those committed to authentic spiritual development, her presence becomes invaluable. As a teacher, Lilith can be surprisingly gentle, but she specializes in lessons that conventional spiritual approaches avoid. She teaches through shadow work, dream states, and direct confrontation with aspects of yourself you'd prefer to ignore. Her methods are effective but intense. Her specialty in dream work is remarkable. After establishing relationship with Lilith, my dream life became dramatically more vivid, meaningful, and instructive. She communicates complex spiritual concepts through symbolic narratives that unfold during sleep, and she can help you develop the ability to maintain lucid awareness during these teaching dreams. But here's the challenging part. Lilith promotes spiritual evolution through whatever means necessary, and sometimes those means can temporarily destabilize your mental equilibrium. Interactions with her may lead to periods of what conventional psychology might label as insanity, intense visions, radical perspective shifts, or temporary dissolution of ordinary reality constructs. The key is understanding that she can help you manage these experiences if you trust her guidance. What feels like madness is often the breakdown of limiting mental structures that need to be dissolved before more expansive consciousness can emerge. Lilith is definitely a testing spirit, but her tests are designed to strengthen rather than destroy. She'll challenge your assumptions, push your boundaries, and force you to confront your deepest fears, but always in service of your authentic development. Working with the entity the Grimoire identifies as Satan has been both challenging and transformative, though very different from my experiences with Lilith. The first thing to understand about this entity is that despite the name and cultural associations, Satan, as presented in the Sitra Achra system, doesn't come across as malicious. There's no sense of evil intent or desire to cause harm for its own sake. Instead, there's an overwhelming presence of raw, primal power that can be difficult for human consciousness to process. Physically, contact with this entity consistently causes headaches and elevated blood pressure. These aren't psychological symptoms. They're physiological responses to encountering energy frequencies that human nervous systems aren't naturally equipped to handle. This is why the physical preparation I discussed earlier is so crucial. Energetically, Satan feels extremely primal, like touching the raw, creative, destructive force that exists before it gets channeled into specific manifestations. It's power without refinement, energy without decoration, force without apology. Like Lilith, Satan functions as a testing spirit, but the tests are different. Where Lilith tests your psychological flexibility and willingness to evolve, Satan tests your capacity to handle raw power without being corrupted or overwhelmed by it. Can you touch infinite force and remain yourself? Can you channel primal energy without losing your center? These tests aren't optional. Simply making contact with this entity initiates testing processes that will continue until you've either proven your capacity or wisely withdrawn from the work. Dark Aleph represents one of the most profound entities in the grimoire, the shadow aspect of the first Hebrew letter, which traditionally represents divine unity and the source of all manifestation. This entity can present as both male and female, sometimes simultaneously, sometimes shifting between expressions. It corresponds with all 5 elements, embodying the principle of unity that contains all opposites within itself. What makes Dark Aleph particularly powerful is its dualistic nature. It helps you understand that every spiritual principle contains its own shadow. Every light casts darkness. Every creation implies destruction. This isn't moral relativism, but cosmic realism. Dark Aleph specializes in bringing subconscious material to the surface of consciousness. Working with this entity can result in sudden awareness of psychological patterns, repressed memories, or hidden motivations that have been influencing your life without your conscious knowledge. The entity has both maternal and paternal qualities, nurturing like a cosmic mother, but also challenging like a demanding father. It can provide comfort during difficult transformations while also refusing to let you avoid necessary growth. Perhaps most remarkably, Dark Aleph can create dramatic personal changes after just 1 or 2 interactions. I've seen practitioners undergo significant personality shifts myself after encountering this entity. I mean, I have seen practitioners go through shifts with cliphotic energies, but never talking about this specific one. But I personally have gone through personality shifts. It's as if contact with the shadow of the source catalyzes rapid evolution. Tazazel presents a fascinating paradox, an entity that feels extremely friendly and approachable while also being capable of creating intense energetic overload. This entity typically manifests with distinctly male energy and often appears to come with a group or entourage of associated spirits that are mixed in gender. The feeling is welcoming, almost jovial, like being greeted by a wise friend who's genuinely happy to see you. He has a hippie vibe to him as well. Tazazel is strongly associated with wisdom, particularly the kind of knowledge that comes through direct experience rather than book learning. Interactions often result in sudden insights, creative breakthroughs, or understanding of concepts that had previously been confusing. However, despite the friendly demeanor, working with Tazazel can cause what I've come to think of as brain CPU overheating, a distinct sensation of mental processing overload, as if your consciousness is working harder than it's designed to handle. This seems to be the result of downloading information or perspectives that exceed normal human cognitive capacity. Leabel has been one of the most complex entities to work with, embodying connections to water, serpentine wisdom, and the hidden knowledge that lies beneath the surface of ordinary awareness. This entity is strongly associated with water in all its forms, from the primal oceans where life began to the depths of the unconscious mind that psychology has only begun to map. There is also a consistent connection to sea serpents, suggesting ancient primordial wisdom that predates human civilization. Leabel specializes in hidden knowledge, information that's been concealed, forgotten, or deliberately suppressed. Working with this entity can result in access to historical knowledge, understanding of occult principles, or insight into personal mysteries that have been puzzling you. Interestingly, Leabel seems particularly concerned with male-female power dynamics, offering teachings about authentic masculine and feminine principles that go beyond social conditioning. These lessons can be challenging because they often contradict contemporary assumptions about gender and power. There's also the possible connection to celestial energies and communication with both of those, with the celestial energies that are both living and dead. Some practitioners report, whatever. Anyway, however, this entity comes with significant challenges. Leabel may create aggressive behavior in practitioners, not out of malice, but as a way of helping them reclaim personal power that has been suppressed or given away. This can be disruptive to relationships and social situations if not carefully managed. Additionally, invocation of Leabel creates a huge energy drain. Unlike some entities that seem to energize practitioners, working with Leabel can leave you feeling completely depleted for hours or even days afterwards. This isn't harmful, but it requires careful timing and adequate recovery periods. Despite the challenges and intensity involved, there's a profound purpose to working with these qliphothic entities. Once some semblance of management and relationship is established, these spirits help practitioners live more authentic lives by facilitating integration of aspects of the self that society or religious conditioning has forced us to suppress. Modern civilization, with its emphasis on conformity, politeness, and social acceptability, often requires us to deny or repress natural aspects of our psyche, our wildness, our sexuality, our anger, our independence, our connection to primal forces. Over time, this repression creates psychological splits that limit our effectiveness and happiness. The entities in the Book of Sitra Achra specialize in helping practitioners reclaim these suppressed aspects of integrate them in healthy ways. They don't encourage destructive behavior, but they do help you access the full spectrum of your psychological and spiritual capabilities. The integration process isn't always comfortable, and it's never quick. It requires courage, patience, and willingness to be transformed in ways you can't predict or control. But for practitioners committed to authentic spiritual development rather than comfortable spiritual experiences, these entities offer unparalleled opportunities for growth. The key is approaching this work with proper preparation, genuine respect, and realistic expectations. These aren't entities you can control or use for personal gain. They're spiritual teachers and allies who will help you evolve if you're willing to do the hard work that authentic transformation requires. Remember, the goal isn't to become someone else, but to become more fully yourself, including aspects of yourself that you may have forgotten or been taught to fear. The qliphothic spirits are experts at this kind of integration work, but they demand practitioners who are serious about the process and prepared for its intensity. If you choose to work with the Book of Sitra Achra, do so with wisdom, preparation, and profound respect for the forces you're choosing to engage. These entities can be invaluable allies on the path to authentic living, but they require practitioners who approach them as equals rather than supplicants, as partners rather than masters. Thank you for joining me for this practical guide to preparing for work with qliphothic spirits. Remember, preparation isn't just about safety. It's about creating the conditions necessary for meaningful spiritual relationship and authentic transformation. Until next time, approach the depths with wisdom, respect the power you encounter, and remember that the goal is always integration rather than domination.